chaps, brand new place actually, and you're the second video, Kori, because we did, well, because we did that Zoomy thingy particularly before your run from one end of the country to the other.
Yeah.
And I was chuffed with it, but I just think you've got a much better story.
Yeah.
And I hate Zoom.
Deserves more than a Zoom.
No, absolutely. And I'll say straight away. Obviously, we'll talk about you running from one side of the country, basically left to right of the country.
Widest points,
which to me is mental.
Yeah, it is pretty mental for me as well. To be fair.
No, exactly that. So to push yourself through that, and also in our name, because you fundraise for us as well, just is absolutely mind blowing. But there's all the other stuff. You've obviously got a ton of followers and. I don't like that term. I know we said off air. I don't like that term, influencers. Yeah. But you are somebody with influence in many spaces. I guess a younger audience.
Do you know what? It definitely started off as quite young, with like reality TV. Because that was what I was initially like kind of known for, and people found me from that. But then as it's developed with what I do, fitness, talk about sobriety, all that other stuff for the last 3-4 years, it's actually more like. Almost like kind of like my age group, but in between like a little bit older as well.
Yeah.
So it's not specifically young, and I think most of the new people coming in are more around that age, 20 to 40 kind of.
Well,
20, yeah. So yeah, not just young, but I mean, like you said, like I'm trying to be a positive influence rather than being an influencer.
Well, I don't think you're trying to be one. I think you are one.
Cheers.
Generally, obviously, I'm not going to say like I would see every single one of your posts.
Yeah.
Life's too busy for that kind of stuff. But when I see stuff, and every now and again I'll see some of your, even some of the comments, you use your influence in a positive way, and that's something what I like about you. Because I remember last time, I think you just touched base like you don't drink and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You're not one of those preachy ones.
No, I mean, I'm coming up to 3 years, but I say it all the time. I'm like, the reason it was a problem is because of the guilt associated with it for me personally.
Yeah.
So like, I was very conflicted in the way that I was kind of behaving and the way that I was thinking.
Yeah.
And I was like, I couldn't continue doing that. And like, I'd recommend it to anyone, but I don't push it on anyone. I think there's a lot of people that can function with drink and drugs in like, they can control it. And I was very much so like, I couldn't control it. Yeah. So I had to make that change.
Is that the life you're living because of all the TV shows and?
Yeah, I think that was like added pressure.
Yeah.
And then it just become like a situation that I couldn't kind of navigate very well.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was pretty bad for that as well.
Yeah.
And that was more just because I was still in my hometown. I wasn't happy in my job. Yeah. I was a bit miserable. I felt like I kind of didn't really have much of a, not trajectory, because I felt like I could get out of it, but I was a bit lost in trying to navigate that. I think like a lot of young men. Yeah. So that's where that initially started. And then I think moving here and then being put into the like limelight, as you'd say, like that made it worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, like I had to make the change. But I also like to tell everyone, like, if you think about it this way, is like, if you do drink and go out every weekend, like that's completely fine, as long as you're happy with living to like 60% of your potential, because that's how much time you're giving up. Do you know what I mean? You're giving up 40% of your time, and that's like can be different for a lot of people. Like you could hold that to whatever value you want to hold that. Like I had this conversation with a friend of mine who I've started a podcast with, Tim, and he said like, as a father, he's like, are you willing to give up 40% of your time as a dad? Because that's a lot of your time in your life. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so if you hold like it to value of your like whatever it could be, then that 40% means a lot more. Yeah. I guess as like a young 20-year-old, like 40% of your time at the moment, I think people kind of talk about like having fun in your 20s and enjoying your kind of time, and it's like fair enough if you want to do that. I mean, I did it for like the first 5 years of it, but you're also like, we don't have all the time in the world. Do you know what I mean? Like time fucking flies. So
life is short.
Yeah, really? Exactly. And like, I think once you start realizing that, you start making better choices and you start thinking about the future.
Yeah.
Which is definitely what I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was like your tipping point of like, right, I'm done. You might be going down that way when you wanted to go down that way.
I mean, there was just like it was a cumulative. Like it just kept on kind of getting worse, and there was situations that I weren't happy with how I was acting. And then I was trying to go sober, and it took me nearly a year to fully go sober. So like I did like 3 months initially I was doing like a charity boxing thing. So I did 3 months and I was like, right, I'm not going to drink until the fight. And then I went on like a 2-day bender, and then I was like, right, I'm not going to drink again until like I'm going on holiday in the summer or whatever. And then it was like, I was on like a 3-day bender, and then it was like, do you know what I mean? It was kind of spiraling. Every time I'd go back to it, and it was worse than it was when I was doing it every weekend. And then it got to the point where I was like, I signed up for London Marathon, which is kind of where my running journey really started. Because I signed up for that. I was running, but like from lockdown, so for about a year. Signed up for the marathon, did this big training block, didn't drink the whole time. Went to Ibiza for a friend's 30th. And was just like, right, I'm not gonna go crazy. I'm just gonna like have a few drinks on his birthday or whatever.
Have the one.
Have the one. And then it was like 5 days of carnage. And I was just like, fuck, like I can't keep doing this to myself. And then I did the marathon. I did it in a good time. And then I was almost like, I could have easily gone, I can get away with nicking a holiday to Ibiza a week before running a marathon and still do well. Or I was like, what happens if I don't do that? What happens if I like really like think about like thinking? And then now it's almost like my career as like an athlete, and it didn't have to be that way. But I wanted it to be, and I was always like, I felt like I was leaving a lot on the table. Do you know what I mean? By not kind of sticking to my word. And I think integrity to myself is like a really important thing. So if I'm going to say I'm not going to do something, like I mean it, and that means what was I doing? I wasn't sticking to my word. Do you know what I mean? So I just was like, right, this is enough. I'll do a year, see how that feels. I haven't looked back.
Good on you, man. Have you lost friends in the process?
I've lost friends, but then I can still see them, and we're still friends. But like,
there's different friends.
There's just friends that only have that aspect of that's the only time I used to see them. And like, to be fair, at the time I was living with a few of my mates, and it was just like way too much. And like, if you're trying to go sober, but your environment's surrounded by it, you know, like I'm staying in on a weekend, but they still go out or have after parties, and I'm waking up and people are there in the gaff. So like, it was like very conflicting that way as well. So I had to remove myself. So I left where I lived, and I had to remove myself from them friends for a little bit. But I got to a point where I really reshaped my whole relationship with it all. And I know I can kind of go back into them situations. So I still like, I've seen them, just it's not as much as it would have been before.
More of a boundary kind of
thing. And you meet other people doing what you're also doing, and
because the reason I say, because I used to do like DJ and all this kind of stuff as well. And even my oldest lad, he's like, why don't you go back to DJing? I've heard you mixes, I've heard you're really blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it's nice to hear your son say, actually, I've heard you're really good. But I'm like, well, I can't, because it'll put me back in the situations of just getting involved in real dodgy stuff. I just can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it goes back to that integrity where I've always said to my boys, like, I'll never ever, it's a life I've just left behind. Do you go out? You can't do it. And
like now, I could probably go and have a couple of drinks, and it wouldn't be like a snowball effect. Do you know what I mean? But like, I think like if I in the right situation, if I had a few drinks, it probably would. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So now I'm like, if I'm on holiday with my missus and we have a drink, like it wouldn't kill me. I don't think it would cause any issues. But I just like, now I have this integrity of myself as well to be like, what is it all for? And I also have a bit of responsibility with my social media and the people, like you said, as being a good influence. Because now, like, imagine if I went on there and I was like, oh yeah, I've reshaped my relationship with it, but like now I can go out and have a few drinks, and once a month I'll go have a big blowout, and it's like, okay, but what happens if that becomes every other week? And then I'm hiding it because I just don't want everyone to find out. And it's just like, do you know what I mean? I don't want to be that person to all these people that have made changes because of me. Like, imagine if I go and turn my back on it now, they'll just go, oh, well, what's the point? So why should we?
So how do you deal with that responsibility, though? Because the reason I say that is because obviously we're man up my faces all over the place these days and whatever else. And there has been some times, like I won't say too much, like I was saying that thing with the incident with the camping trip, where one of the other guys called somebody out. And actually what he said, there was a little bit of me like, if I was actually there and heard it, I'd be like, you're a twat, mate. But obviously I can't say those exact words now because of obviously people watching. Does that kind of make sense? So how do you deal with like the pressure of that, of sometimes I don't want to say hiding what you. I think there's a point. I think there's
Oh,
a point
look,
I'm trying to
don't
say,
get me
but-
wrong. There's opinions that I have on things that, like politics or
I don't
whatever.
do anything politics,
mate.
Yeah.
Like obviously, I wouldn't have them opinions online because I know the way that it can be very like. I mean, in this day and age of social media, it's actually probably beneficial to be a bit like that because the only reason things go viral anymore is when you have conflict on the post, which is mad.
Clickbait.
It's like clickbait, like you're rage baiting people.
Yeah.
And I've always been really authentic with my message, but also with the way I present myself online.
Yeah.
And obviously I've had media training. So like there's a certain aspect of me that will like be intelligent around the way that I talk about things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the reason that I went in on the drug talk, not just alcohol, it would have been so easy to just sell my story as I drank too much because it's not illegal, right? But I went in on the drug stuff. As a sports person, it's quite detrimental to a brand.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not telling everyone the full story. So then you've got to think about like whether you're telling a lie or not to remember what lie you've told, but also just like people that would watch it would be like, oh, he's chatting shit because I've been in the kitchen with him. Do you know what I mean? Like three years ago, blah, blah, blah. And I've seen people do that, and I didn't want to be that part of the problem in a way. Obviously, there's a bit of a responsibility around like what you can and can't say and getting cancelled and stuff. But I mean, like, if you look at like Joe Rogan, he can kind of say what he wants. You can't cancel him. Do you know what I mean?
Where everything's out there.
It's like it is hard when you rely on like brand partnerships to live, or you can't have that bad press, right? You're in a certain position, but at the same time, like I think we've got a bit of responsibility with what we kind of put out to the world. And like obviously a mistake's a mistake, but it's your responsibility to have the right voice and to talk about the right things and there's stuff that I don't talk about. Yeah, exactly. And like I saw a podcast with Matthew McConaughey the other week, and it was really good. It was like, what's the difference between a nice guy and a good man? And a good man can't always be a nice guy because you have values and you have like a family, a responsibility. So if something challenges that, you can't always be a nice guy. And I think that's the same with your opinion and stuff. I think you can be a nice guy, but it means that you can't be a good person with like, because obviously your opinion is important, and you can't like
you can't
just filter. You can't just be a yes man. You can't just filter your opinion out to be nice to make everyone like you. And that's the world we live in is a bit like that. Everyone's trying to avoid the hard conversations, and I think I'm trying to be a bit of a good man rather than a nice guy. But at the same time, obviously certain things don't get mentioned.
I think I'm very much in that camp, actually. I don't think I know I'm very much in that camp, really. Because I think it just goes back to where sometimes you've got to say something. I'm not on about that banter or one of those say what it is kind of things. It's just like sometimes you got to be the good man, not the nice person. And sometimes that is if you know that information or whatever is going to take that person on the wrong path. It's our job as a person, not just a man, but it's our job as a person just to say, I think you're wrong. Ignoring the politics stuff. Going on a tangent, so I apologise. But never get involved in social media, especially politics on social media. So I like you even more now I've actually probably met you, because it's just
like you too.
No, but do you get what I mean? It's I hate saying it. It's really rare to meet somebody who's actually quite genuine. Everyone's got a bit of a cover on.
Well, no, but that's the same reason as like when I was looking at the charities and stuff to work with. Obviously, the reason I found you is because I was looking for a men's mental health charity. Because I wanted to do something for mental health, but I wanted it to be what I can relate to as a man. And that's my story. I know the impact I'm having because of the responses I get. Obviously, I get women say stuff and they're doing their first marathons because they follow me and whatever. But 9 times out of 10, women follow me for a different reason than why the men follow me, right? And then
I can imagine your inbox, man.
Well, it's changed over the years, but so that was my like whole thing was like I wanted to have a bit of an impact, especially on a smaller charity. And then that's why I reached out to you, and then we had a chat, and then I thought you were a genuine bloke as well. And that was what I was like, right, this is the right kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And I love what you've built with it, and I think it's a really important message. So.
No, thank you. And which we'll talk about the running from left to right of the UK in a moment, because to me that's just absolutely nuts. Yeah. So why did you want to do that? I know you're an athlete and stuff like that, but why?
So I've done a few different ultra running things in the past. The first race I did was the London Marathon.
Yeah.
Then I went on to do a trail marathon in the Alps, which was like 5-6 hours through the mountains, and I thought it was like amazing compared to running just on the road 3 hours in pain the whole time, like looking at the floor. And then obviously the next evolution of that was like, right, I'm going to run a 220 kilometer ultra marathon on my birthday through Africa for 5 days, and that was just like life changing.
So I like the sound of that one.
Yeah, it was so cool. Like went up Kilimanjaro, camped in between, so we had a bag, but they took a little bag for us, so it isn't as extreme as like MDS, which is like the Marathon des Sables, quite a famous one. You have to carry all your kit. It's a bit miserable. You don't get a shower and stuff. This one was a little bit of a softened down version of it, and it was more about the running, which is also a big thing for me. Was like I wanted to do it as a runner. So I did that, and that was like my first taste of like multi-day ultra running, and that was the only time I've ever at any point had so much like conflict, pain, misery that I've felt like quitting of something I've done. Out of everything I've done, it was 4 days into that I nearly quit. I had a bit of a cry, brushed myself off, got to this aid station where I was like, right, I'm quitting at first aid station. In the dark, the sun started to rise. I took a paracetamol or whatever, and I was like, right, do you know what, fucking let's just try to get to the next one. And then that was the moment I overcome that. So then I ran 100 miles after that. It's a long story, but I'll get to the point. Ran 100 miles after that, all in one go, which was 33 hours. And I didn't really find it that difficult. So then I was like, right, the multi-day thing's obviously difficult for me. My body, like, didn't really deal with it very well. Day 2, I was fucked. Like, I was in bits. And then I had to get through that whole thing. So I was like, what can I do that's going to put me in such a hole? It's probably going to be that, but bigger and more extreme, whatever. And then I was kind of come up with this idea just because it was a bit of a journey of my kind of life. Was like, I grew up in Devon, in Plymouth. So if I did like Land's End to John O'Groats, which is the normal route, I wouldn't have went through Plymouth. I wouldn't have went through London. It would have just been me running for not really much reason, right? So I was like, what can I do that like kind of is a bit more significant? And I was like, well, if I run from Land's End to the widest points, west to east, I can run through where I grew up and then run to London and then run past London and carry on for 2 days to the end. And it was like literally like a representation of my life. It's like I've gone from here to where I am now and continuing. So I left London. It was almost like a false finish, and I had 2 more days of 80k a day. And it was just like a bit of a journey for me personally. And I wanted to kind of put myself in like a hard place to show people that there's a way through hard times. And obviously it's self-imposed, nothing compared to what some people go through day to day. But it was like, if I can show that I can get through this, like I can give some people like a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel for what they're going through. So that was it. So I was like, I looked into it. I kind of come up with a route. I was like 800k, 80 a day. I was like, I'll do it in 10 days. It's fastest known time, but it's the only known time, which is why it's fastest. Probably do it faster. People could do it faster if they want. That's fine. But it was just a bit of an idea, and then it come to life, and then planned it. And did it.
Well, I think that's one of the other things what I like about you as well, and I think we said about it in the Zoom video. Is just one of the things what we say with MANUP a hell of a lot, and I've taken flack for it as well, but I have to stand my ground on it. There's the integrity bit. But me with my own mental health demons and all this kind of stuff sometimes is I give my brain permission to go. Like the last 5 weeks I've been up and down the country non-stop. So the other day I'm like, do you know what? I'm just sitting at home watching Netflix today. But trouble, and that's fine. I have to tell my head that that's absolutely fine. But when that Saturday's moved into day 2, or let's say Sunday, Monday, and I'm like, actually, I'm not giving myself time off. The laziness is setting. And that's when the pity party of my own mental health. This is just how I talk to myself. I'm not saying sweeping statement. So there has to be that day or 2 days after where I'm like, I've got to get
Okay, you've done enough now.
I've done enough of the
you've
chill
had your
out
moment
stuff.
to kind of cry and
Absolutely. And that's what I like. That's what I get from your content sometimes. And sometimes maybe you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But actually, you have to force yourself to do it. And this is what we try and promote with MANUP. And I know there are people watch this going, "Oh, it's easy for you to say." Well, it's not, because I have to do it.
Yeah, and I have done it. Do you know what I mean? That's why I'm where I am now. And like, you know, I was on a building site 6 years ago, still doing 12-hour days, 6 days a week, making kind of like the bare minimum, like not happy with my situation, but I wasn't happy with my mental health, and I was going out all weekend and doing drugs and drinking and not sleeping and feeling even worse, and then repeat cycle. But I was still like reading some self-help books, like, you know, like motivational books. I was going to the gym every single day in the week. I was getting up in the morning, doing cardio. I was like doing bodybuilding at the time. And I was like doing all these different things to try and improve my situation. And I was trying to work on it. Do you know what I mean? And I was trying to get myself in a better place. And it's still a work in progress, don't get me wrong, but like I put in the work. And I did it when I had a full-time job. So then people now are like, "Oh yeah, you got time to train, I'm like, yeah, but I've made this situation, so I have.
You come from the bottom.
Yeah, and I didn't have time before. Do you know what I mean? I didn't have time, and I wasn't in a good place mentally. But I still did the work to get to where I am. So you can't take that away from me when I talk about these things. But everyone's in different places in their life, in their situation, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's a saying I actually love when you were talking about that then, it's most of the world's problems would go if men could sit in a room on their own with their own thoughts.
Yeah. No, true.
Which is, do you know what I mean? And that's what it is. It's like, because like you said, you give yourself a day. It's like sometimes it's actually more difficult to do that.
Yeah.
So like you said, like that pressure you put on yourself, you give yourself that day, and then the next day you're like, actually, I need to do something. It's like some people really struggle with them like doing that and having that, giving themselves that grace.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And that's important. But like you said, it's like give yourself that grace, and then it's like, okay, now I need to do something about it and take some action.
Well, this is thinking. I don't want to go on a tangent. This is something what I see with a lot of men. I speak to hundreds of men and also their partners. But the one thing I see with a lot of blokes over and over again is like the camping stuff that we do, where we take the blokes camping, peak or really remote areas. The amount of blokes what join up saying, actually, I love the idea of this, but actually, if someone needs it more than I do, then don't sign me up. And it's surprising like how many men I see where they're actually quite happy to back down and let somebody else. And I don't know. I think what I'm trying to say. I wish we need to bring back that confidence with a lot of men, especially young men now. To say, actually, no, I need to do this. If that means doing the camping, doing the running, or whatever else. It's like that bit of confidence is born. Does that make sense?
Some people say to me, it's almost like, you know, like I post a picture of myself in the mirror, like my abs out. It's like self-absorbed. Right. Like some people have that response. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, you're a bit self-absorbed," and whatever. I think more people should be self-absorbed because like we're responsible for ourselves, and we should love yourself. You should take pride in the way you look or the way you feel. You should take responsibility of that, and you should be self-absorbed. If more people were self-absorbed, like not in a narcissistic way, like it could really benefit a lot of people. And I think that's what I think people like. I don't like to. I was a period of my life where I almost, especially with social media, when I was trying to make these like positive changes as well, and like trying to like almost promote that to people and trying to inspire people and whatever. I played myself down a little bit because I was almost like I didn't want to upset people by like posting if I'd bought a watch or do you know what I mean? Because I know people might be struggling financially, and like, I almost like was like kind of selling myself short a little bit on there. But then I was like, do you know what? Like, you can view things however you want, but I think almost in some ways it's actually more important to show everything. And it's not to like brag, and it's especially with like, I don't know, the way you look or because of the work I've put in on myself to look this way. It's like, it's not just about that. It's almost like I want to show everyone everything so that they can take inspiration from that in a way. And at one point I was a little bit like, do I talk about this, or do I kind of like dull this down a little bit? And it's like, do you know what I mean? It took me a long time to get to where I am, and it's like I want people to be able to relate to me, but also be inspired by it to make them changes and stuff. So
and that's the thing. And I don't know. It's weird, the whole social media world, and I think it's tipping back to the good side. Maybe I'm just not using social media enough.
Right.
But I think people are starting to realise, actually, be the best person that you are, man and woman and other. Be the best person that you are, because actually, when you're comparing yourself to everyone else online, well, a lot of it's bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
You can never ever achieve those goals. So why not just spring it back, take it back a little bit, and be the best person who you can be?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And again, that's something what I applaud you on, mate, because I think you're genuine on that kind of stuff.
And I think it's like, it's almost just like being able to view it in a certain way as well. Because I was a bit like that with myself, when I was running across the UK.
Yeah.
I was like comparing myself to other people's previous things they've done, similar space or whatever. Like, oh, am I as fast as this person at doing it? Or this person ran for longer? Like, so I was like almost like holding, but in a bad way.
Yeah.
But I think is also important. It's like a bit of a line, but it's to be able to use it as inspiration rather than just like comparison. So that's what I think of social media. Sometimes it's like to be able to look at it in a certain way, because you could look at it from comparison and be like, oh, this person's driving this car, like what, like, but you don't know, like they're in credit card debt or whatever the situation is, right? Yeah. So like it's not to look at it from that way, to be like, oh, it's fake, but like use it as inspiration rather than comparison, so it doesn't make you feel bad. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to look at things negatively from a jealous eye. Yeah. And that's the kind of, so it's like you don't want to be part of the problem by looking at social media in a certain way. Yeah. Because like, I don't know, there's so much shit on there anyway that's like not inspirational or not good, but I think there is a lot positive, and I think your algorithm can kind of dictate that. But there's a lot of bullshit, but there's also a lot of just nonsense on that. Do you know what I mean?
No, there is, and this is something, especially for young, when I go into schools and stuff like that, and they're always like, oh, yeah, my algorithm's this, that, and the other. Like, have you actually just hit the hamburger, not interested, not interested? Yeah. Like, no. Why don't you do that, then? Rather than just moaning about it
and instead they click on the thing that they don't want to see, and then they read the comments for like fucking ages, and then it gets them even more annoyed. And do you know what I mean? And then they get hit with 10 more videos of it because they've been on that video like 10 times.
Exactly that. So I don't know.
You can shape that yourself, and I think it's a bit of a scary place for kids. Yeah. With like social media, more than anything else.
Because my boys have, because they're not with the mum, my boys have both had phones from like 13, something like that, but like locked down under my accounts, and here I am, like explaining that I am really a good dad. I mean, it's been locked down on my accounts and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. But I remember when, what was it? I've always had a really good relationship with both my boys, because I know how horrible the internet can be sometimes. I'm like, the biggest thing what I've ever said to my boys, because they can bypass anything put on there. Yeah. I've always said to them, and it's always worked, like the day I say to you, boy, I don't call my boys boy, but I don't mention my boys' names on social media, but like, can I have a look at your phone? The day they say why is the day that phone gone. The day I'm taking that phone from them. And do you know what, up to now, actually, it's always panned out right. Not once have they ever questioned. And I'm really chuffed about that. Yeah. But even now, as a dad, my youngest is 14. When Charlie Kirk got shot, 2 months ago? Like he said to me, he was like, "Oh, have you heard of this guy?" I was like, "I've seen a couple of videos, as we probably all have done." Yeah. And he was like, "Oh, we just got shot. I've seen the video." I was like, "What do you mean you've seen the video?" Yeah. 14 years old, so he's not breaking any rules of being on Instagram. And I know my son well enough, he doesn't look for that stuff at all. Oh, George, go on.
You can't avoid it.
No,
you can't avoid it. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can't avoid.
So I went on social media, and there was like all of these videos of that horrible video on Instagram, and all of the stuff where it's 13 plus. So it doesn't matter the steps that I can do as a dad to try and protect my son, or sons, or any other parent. It was just literally injected into their own feeds. Do you get what I mean? That's something what really does. That's something what really does terrify me, and especially with social media. I don't want to go on a tangent yet again, but especially with young boys and young men. Let's say under 20s. So I would say the most influenced people. Yeah. There's not enough good role models. Yeah. No, I generally think you are. I think obviously Stephen Graham is. I don't want to start doing a list of whatever else.
Well, there's a lot of lost people. I said it earlier. Lost people leading lost people.
No, exactly that.
Lost people following lost people. But that's it's part of it, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. But I genuinely think, especially in the male space, we need to be encouraging more good role models. Because pick a job role, doctors, teachers, nurses, anywhere where there's been a male defined as what could be seen as a role model.
Yeah.
Actually, they're just not applying for them jobs anymore.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Do you get what I mean? So
They want to be
all social media and all of this bollocks. It's just the Tates and all this kind of stuff. We need to be rising up to a point. People like you.
Yeah.
Even like Usyk, I'm a massive fan of Usyk and all this kind of stuff. He's a brilliant role model. I'm sure there might be something he said years ago, and whether I don't know.
Yeah.
But for me, for people, we need to be highlighting that kind of stuff and giving young men role models. So with the run, I keep trying to go back to it. We keep on a tangent. So with the run, you completed. When was that? 3 months ago? 4 months ago? You completed that?
Finished on the 10th of August. Yeah. Started on the 1st.
Yeah.
80k. Yeah, every day, 10 days.
Because there's two things I wanted to ask you. Obviously, I watched it and all this kind of stuff, and I feel bad because my wife was like, "Are you going to go and meet him in Ipswich?" I'm like, well, he's like,
well, I was really late that day.
No, exactly.
I was really late in general. I think I was really behind from the 3rd day. So like 3-4 days in was like I was meant to do 80k and it was like 70, then 68.
Yeah.
Then I was like, fucking hell, if I keep doing this,
I'm
going to miss a day by the end of it. And I had all this stuff lined up. Like I was going to be in London by Friday in Ipswich at that time, do you know what I mean? And then finishing on the Sunday. Yeah. And I knew I had to finish on that Sunday because I had the team there. I was paying people to be there, content.
That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. And that I got a bit emotional like five days in because I had a really tough day on the 4th day. And I remember posting being like, oh, this is tough, but I'm tougher. Did this whole like muscle thing. Yeah. And then the next day I was like running and I was slow. Started off slow. I was like, fuck, am I actually going to be able to get to there on time?
I was going to say, did you deal with the pressure?
Yeah, and then I started looking at all the comments of everyone being like, you're smashing it, like, well done. And then I started to feel like a bit of a fraud because I was like having all these thoughts about how I was failing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that's what really got to me emotionally. I think I actually put myself into a bad mental health space throughout most of it. Okay. Which is mad because the whole reason I was doing it is to help people with mental health, and then I was giving myself mental health problems by doing these things. But I mean, it's like, it's a bit of a price you pay, right, to help other people. Yeah. So it's a price that I'm willing to pay. But I don't think I'd do it again. No. Not that.
Well, you've done it once now anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't go, but like even just like bigger, I wouldn't go, oh, I've done that now. Like everyone's like, what's next? Like straight away. I'm like, I've got no interest in doing anything bigger than that in that sense. Yeah. Different things, whatever. I'm still going to challenge myself. I'm still going to like be an athlete and compete in racing and whatever.
Well, you are an athlete, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just like, but I don't have to put myself through that much shit to kind of.
Well, if it's going to damage yourself as well.
Yeah, yeah. And also that's, you think about that like long term, like I was, my body was falling apart and, but yeah, we've still got like, still haven't shown the film, like we've made this film around it. So that's still nearly finished. And then we're going to do like a bit of a screening for that and put that up for people to watch, which is going to be cool. So I can kind of relive it then as well and hopefully have more of an impact. Because the last thing I did, with Ibiza, where I was celebrating 2 years sober. So it wasn't for charity. It was just about myself, really, just doing
personal goal.
Yeah. And it's funny enough, I thought because this time I'd do it for charity, I'd get more fulfillment that I didn't get from the last one. Yeah. Funny enough, I still didn't really get the fulfillment I kind of wanted to. Which is a whole other conversation.
Did I tell you about the sign-ups along your route?
No.
I must have told you this.
No.
Along your route, like most of the towns where you've obviously obviously stopped. months,
Yeah.
and you've had a bit of PR,
Yeah.
I could see via the website because we do the free therapy.
Yeah.
Did I not tell you that?
No, you didn't tell me.
Maybe I should have told you that.
Yeah, maybe that was the fulfillment I was missing out on.
I apologise, but no, there was not loads. I'm not
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
say,
yeah.
but because we take the details,
Of course,
your journey, that like the odd blokes were joining up along route.
Oh, it was like following along,
to our free therapy.
Oh, no way.
And all this kind of stuff.
Oh, sick. Well,
I thought I told you
well,
that.
there you go. No,
Yeah, so valid for the
that was maybe that was what I was missing. Yeah,
no,
because
exactly
I feel like because Tim said this to me, the guy that I'm doing the podcast with. So we're starting this podcast called Redefine the Finish Line, and it's literally like that concept of like achieving a goal, and then realizing like it wasn't kind of what you thought it would be, or like success or whatever. Like same with like Tyson Fury getting depression after becoming world heavyweight, right? It's like on a very different scale, but like same thing.
Comparison.
But Tim was like, what if you was, so for example, if I was raising money for someone like specifically, like to give someone to life-saving, medical, whatever, and I was like collecting the money on the way, and at the end they were there and I was giving it to them, that probably would have had a lot more of a fulfillment from me, right? Because I couldn't actually see the impact, which is mad, but like obviously that is like the impact, you know what I mean, like you're not seeing, and that's why we do these things. And I do get messages every now and then which is like, mate, like I was fucking lost in you've done this, and then it's made me start running and look after myself, and now I'm like doing this, and it's like amazing to see that.
No, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
So and you're responsible for that as well.
Yeah, even just one little message is massive. So
well, that's the thing, isn't it? Sometimes you'll never ever know the impact you had. Say like that, like the run and all this kind of stuff is literally I could see like a little trail. I'm not claiming it's like loads and loads and loads, but it was a good few all the way along from left to right.
I mean, mate, one is more than enough. You know what I mean? So we actually had a really nice interaction. I mean, not nice, but like we was like 5 days in. I think I was in the camper van sleeping in this pub car park. I slept in the camper for the first 5 days, and then after that I started booking hotels because I don't blame all the lads had hotels, but I was trying to kind of keep the costs down and whatever. So I slept in the camper, and I got out, and there was these two women had this van full of dogs. She had like 10 dogs in there, all the same little dog. Don't know what dog it is, little curly hair thing. And I think she showed a couple of them, but I think they were all like, this one's dad and whatever, and they had like all these dogs. And they were like making loads of noise, but I remember the lads were talking to her because they were parked up next to her, and they asked like what we're doing, and I was obviously like, they were like, oh, Kori's in there, he's been running cross country, we've just gone from Land's End, we're halfway, like he's going all the way to Suffolk. And I think one of them had just been to Cornwall, and I think they'd just been to Cornwall and they were from Suffolk as well, which is quite mad. But or something like that. But she come over and we had a conversation. Her son was a medic and killed himself.
Wow.
And she was like
a paramedic.
Yeah, I think she didn't really explain like exactly what, but apparently the pressure of that was why kind of it led to it. But obviously she come over and then we like had a bit of a hug and that, and it was a bit of, like not a nice moment, but it was a bit of a nice moment to be like
just something.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It was a bit of like
probably
motivation
meant well to them as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I could tell it did. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know, she gave us like a bit of donation and stuff, but because we collected some of them on the way. We missed out because I asked a bit late, but I was trying to get a QR code. I didn't think about it to put on the van. So because people kept coming over to be like, oh, what are you doing? And then seeing the text on the van and stuff, it would give us like a $5 or whatever, or they'd be like, oh, we're going to donate to the page. But that was nice. But yeah.
No, good on you, man. Well done to you. Can you just clarify to my missus, because she'll probably watch this one. Yeah. She had a right old go at me for not coming to meet you in Ipswich. I'm like, he's delayed.
I was
10 o'clock at night. I think you said about your pizza when I give you a pizza bar. I'm like, this is about him. This isn't about
No. I know you was going to go, and we was meant to get there by like 6. There was actually apparently someone was waiting. I think they actually waited there till like nearly 10 o'clock. But obviously I didn't go to that. I didn't end up going there. But I think one of the lads seen one of them, because one of the lads posted up there with the main van, because the car would kind of follow, but we'd have like the main van would go ahead. And then it got to the point where we would like to them just go check in the hotel and like do all that stuff. we'll get some pizza on the way back or whatever. That's what we end up doing. But we got there so late, but I think they'd seen this lad and apparently he was still there waiting and stuff, which was a bit bad. But we were going to do a bit of a run through Ipswich, but because I was behind, I was finishing there. And so it didn't really work out. But I think I missed a few people on the way because of that. But I mean, I couldn't hurry up. Do you know what I mean? I literally that's all I had in me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, if you've got your own mental demons floating about.
Yeah. I was also like, by then I was like not great company to everyone around me.
Yeah.
And
an arsehole, mate.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And also like, I didn't want to be that person to people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because people have this image of me. Imagine they've shown up and the first time they see me, I'm like a bit of a dick because I'm going through all this stuff. It was almost like I kind of wanted people to kind of come and talk and be there and whatever. But at the same time, by then I was like, I just wanted to get it done.
No, exactly. I don't blame that. This is why I won't. This is why I didn't bother coming down and whatever. I was delayed, and I kind of like I'm nowhere near. I've done the rat racing and the Oxfam Trail Walker and. Have you ever done that, the South Downs, the Trail Walker?
No, but I know which one you're on about.
That was horrible. I think, what was it, 60 miles in 30 hours or something, but you're only allowed to walk.
Okay.
And I hurt my knee and all that was absolutely horrible. But I think towards the end of it, I'm not even comparing stuff, it's like your brain's just completely fucked.
Yeah, exactly. And fucked. I was kind of just a bit like miserable for a lot of it, and I think the lads did quite a good job of like being around me because I was probably taking out on them a little bit as well, but I was also trying my best not to do that. And I've had experience with like that in the past, and I just I think it was just a case of just get through it. But like I said, like I wasn't there on time for you to turn up, and then we left 5 a.m. the next day. It was like literally get in at 10, ate a pizza, went to sleep, which is awful because that doesn't help you sleep. Woke up the next day and then it was like, right, 5 a.m. we've got to finish it because we had to we wanted to try and get to like the finish point by nighttime, right? Because I didn't want to get there. Like people were turning up to see me, and even then I was late. And I think some people hung around, but like people turned up from Lowestoft to run with me and stuff, and they were waiting for ages. Do you know what I mean? So it was hard to like kind of predict how it would go and whatever. I think it probably went a little bit better than I thought it would, to be honest with it. But
you certainly had impacts.
Yeah,
certainly had impacts. So how long did it take you to physically and mentally get over that though?
Do you know what it was?
Or how did you do it mentally?
Yeah, it was weird because the last time I did something and it was nowhere near the same size, scale, or whatever, I struggled mentally for like a couple of weeks after.
Was that the Ibiza one?
Yeah, the Ibiza one, yeah. So that, I guess like sleep deprivation and stuff, and it kind of sent me a little bit, and I taxed my nervous system. I was a bit ill afterwards, and then I just had no motivation to kind of like work or do anything. I was almost like, I didn't feel like I earned a bit of a rest, but like I felt bad about having a rest kind of thing. And then this time, I think I went on holiday, like not straight after, like 2-3 weeks later. And I kind of went back into a bit of a routine and training. I didn't run. I was a bit injured, but I went in the gym 3 days after, whatever, 2-3 days after. And I kind of just started looking after myself, getting myself in a good place because I knew I was but I didn't really have like the high that I thought I'd get. So I was almost like just at this, like I didn't have a low because I was kind of just a bit stable. Yeah. And I think maybe I've just reshaped the way that I kind of think about these things, but because I wasn't like, oh, I've done that, now I want to chase the next thing. I didn't have any like pressure or anything. And I learned, like I said earlier, about being able to sit in a room on your own in silence. It's like, I found a bit of peace afterwards. Yeah. So I had a couple of weeks of just like decompressing, and then like, but still went and worked and did all the stuff I needed to do, and still like ate well and went to the gym and went in the sauna like every day afterwards. And then like,
just look after yourself.
Yeah, and then like 3 weeks later I went on holiday, and I think I had the best holiday that I've had in a long time of just like being present. Yeah. And it was mad because usually I'm on holiday and I'm like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I was like, no, I've earned a week. I can actually do this, and it's not at my detriment. Yeah. And it's like, you know, like an F1 car, do you know what I mean? You can't stay on the track the whole time and just keep going because your tyres will fall off. Yeah. You need a pit stop. And I think that's what I learned from the back of it. I was like, it's fine to have that time. Like you said earlier, have that Netflix day.
No, exactly. As long as it doesn't turn into
as long as it's not like the whole month, and you're like, fuck, what am I doing? I think I needed that, and I think I learned a little bit doing this. So I was like, I don't have to just keep pushing. Which is how I kind of recovered from it. I think I gave myself time to recover.
So you've learned a lot from it as well.
Yeah, I think I learned a lot from it.
Yeah. About, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So, and that's not what I thought I'd learn.
Yeah.
I thought I'd like break through this limit and like didn't find a breaking point, so now I'm like invincible. And I do feel like very confident in myself to be able to go and like do anything now. But like I thought that's what I was going to discover. I thought I was going to be like, I've unlocked a new level of like beast in me, and I'm going to go and smash this next
level
thing.
5.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I was like, I didn't. I was like, do you know what? I'm quite content with not having to do that. And realise I don't need to do that, and we can kind of take the pressure off a little bit. And that doesn't mean that you can't still be like a high performer or get to somewhere you want to get.
Yeah.
But I think that's the only way you can actually do that.
Keep pushing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And learn out when to switch off as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
the thing that I like to think about as well is like, I said it kind of before, but we get told a bit of a lie about you have all the time in the world.
Yeah.
And we don't. So there's a Chinese saying, it's like a proverb, it's like, the best time to plant a tree was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Second best time is today, because there's no better time than today, because you've missed the boat on 100 years ago, right? Yeah. It's the same with like your health and doing these positive things or trying to make change, trying to get somewhere. It's like you have to start today.
Yeah.
And you might not know what that looks like, but I think just having a bit of action and trying to stack this, like these little things, habits, healthy habits, and just changing things, even if it's gradual, so you don't demotivate yourself. Yeah. Because it's a lot to try. I don't know, you look at someone online, me with my workout routine, my schedule, my like diet, whatever, and you go, I'm going to copy that and do everything all in one go. It gets too much, and then all of a sudden you just stop, and then it's like, that's what a lot of people do with like the gym and training, health, any of it. And I think it's the same with your mental health. It's like, you can't just, like, you've just got to slowly chop away at it. Yeah. Because, like, you know, you got a big tree, like, you're not going to take it down in one hit. So just keep chipping away. Do
you think, and I think especially with young lads and all sorts, I do think we've moved into a bit of a weird world at the moment where we're not showing people what they're really capable of. Yeah. So, for example, with the whole wild camping and all this kind of stuff, like my missus is like, it's just masculine. You just want to be real. There's a little bit of that, of course. Really, I'm not going to. I want that social media shot with me like minus 27, the snow and all in my tent. Of course, I'm not going to lie about that kind of stuff. But it's also actually teaching myself what I'm absolutely capable of.
Confidence.
Absolutely. Pushing myself. Okay, if I can only hike 10 miles, actually, if I can hike 10 miles, I could probably hike 20. I might be a bit more knackered. I just don't think we're promoting that enough. Like, do you go out?
Yeah. I think it goes to like maybe to the algorithm a little bit. I think some people the wrong way. Some people like I just said, being like, this is how you have to do this. You have to quit your job to be like to do this online, and like, do you know what I mean? There's that message, and I think that's wrong. But then also this like that side of it is also wrong. It's like we do need to like take a bit of accountability and responsibility for, because like regardless of your situation, like it might not be your fault. Whatever's happening in your life, the issues you have, whatever. Like we're not all given the same start. We're not all in the same position. Like there's a million different factors into all of that. So you're not. It's not your fault, but you are responsible for making the change where you can, and to dealing with it. And the way you deal with it is pretty much everything, right? That's what it comes down to. It's the way you deal with that situation that you're in. And like, there is a way out. It might not be overnight. It's like, but that's the only way. There's only one way through, right? So that's the kind of the thing we need to think about, is like taking a bit of responsibility to be able to change.
Because funny enough, you know, one of the biggest things where I switched from my own mentor, is get rid of the notifications and all this, which, to be honest, does work. Get rid of all the notifications, but actually change the script. No, you'll never ever hear me say it is what it is. It is what I make it. I think that whole "it is what it is" up to, I don't want to sound harsh, sometimes it's a bit of a cop out.
Yeah.
It's like, well, just change the script or it is what I make it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously I won't say too much, but obviously there's a train issue and all this kind of stuff. But I could sit there, mate, it is what it is, and call everything off, or try and work with you guys. I can do that. Do you get what I mean?
To get it.
Actually, it is what I make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
exactly.